Hey everyone. So, a couple of things before, for those of you who have not stitched either the Boro, Sashiko inspired piece or the Kiwandi piece. So I use you can use an embroidery needle, you can use a Sashiko needle or something in between. As long as you can, it's not blunt. You don't want a darning needle. You want sharpness on the needle so you can go through your fabrics. You want the eye to be just wide enough so you can thread with a lacy crochet thread or a Sashiko thread. So either or. And now what I did, I'm going to put the camera down so you can see. I went ahead and I stitched around the edge, all the way around the edge. And I'm using that, just pretty much following that just along as I'm just going up one side and down the other side. And I ran out of thread here, so I thought that was a good place to just stop and kind of bring you along with me just a little bit so you can see how I turn a corner. And that will give you a little bit idea for those of you who haven't done this, at least how I'm doing it. Now, I am doing this the Carmella inspired way, so I'm kind of throwing and mixing a little techniques and little different ways to do things as I go along. So, but it's called Kiwandi Inspired because the design that I'm using when we did the layout of all of this the other day, that's totally Kiwandi. That's inspired by that. So, so what we're gonna do is this is how I'm doing it anyway. What I do typically is I keep an eye on the measure that I'm using, whether it's like a fingernail width or maybe an inch or however whatever spacing you want between your rows. As you're going around your piece, you just want to be mindful of that. And because that kind of indicates to you when you're going to turn. So I'm getting closer here to my. Now, do I always get this perfectly point on? No, I do not. But I know right about here, I want to turn down. So I'm going to turn my piece around. I always turn my piece around because it helps me be very oriented and get a good perspective of my stitching going across on the row I'm working on. So I'm just going to go up one there and I'm going to start going across. And I'm just going to continue like this until I get closer to my next corner. And be mindful of my stitching, making sure everything's nice and snug, making sure my fabric pieces are in place. Because you saw there how those two kind of pulled right out of place, even though they were pinned. So it does happen, and but it's okay because then you just take a moment to secure them, and then you're good to go. So now we're halfway through here. This, by the way, technique moves very quickly. In my opinion, you'll probably hear me say that a lot. Every time I do Kiwandi, I feel like the piece moves quickly with my running stitch and even with the layout and design. So I'm going to pull that needle out there or that pin. And now we're coming to our next corner. So what I want to do is now, the other thing I want to mention, if you run out of your thread when you're in a round, that's okay. Just tie it off on the back wherever you are and rethread and continue with your next running stitch. Okay, so now I know I'm going to be mindful here to start turning a corner. And so I'm going to turn the piece towards me so I can work going this way. I'm going to take that out. Here's my thread right here. And now I'm going to start going this way. And just turning the piece towards you so you can make a nice running stitch. You can see where you're going. And it's much easier than working on angles. And when you're doing your running stitches, you push the needle through rather than pull. In embroidery, it's a pull. In Sashiko stitching, it's a push. You're pushing the needle through the fabrics like that. You're pushing it through. Okay, so I think that gives you a really good idea on doing your rounds. So now what happens if you're doing your rounds and you come all the way up? Let's say you come all the way up here and to the top and you forgot to turn at that point. And yes, you can pull your few stitches out, but let's say you did the piece like that. In my opinion, that has happened. It has not um created any negative effect at all on my pieces. I don't believe it at all. Because the running stitches are just so beautiful and they just flow. And if you do something like that, there's it might be really obvious to you, it may not be obvious to somebody else, but the beauty of it is this: if you want to correct it, right, turn your piece around, look, and it's probably hard to see these because now the sun, before I couldn't see and do a video because the sun was super strong, and now the shades are closed and the sun is going down. So, but these stitches you see on the back, if you need to snip a stitch and take a couple out because you felt like you went too far up or not far enough or this and that, you can do that. All you need to do is make sure you tie it off, rethread, and then start your running stitch. So anyway, I hope that helps you get started. I'm happy I got started. What I want to do with this is continue working tomorrow. Sit down, do some work on this, and then I'll share with you how far along I got. And if you have any questions in the meantime and you're working on your piece, let me know. I'll be happy to help you. So I will see you in the next one.